College bowling actually started as an intercollegiate sport as early as the 1900s at the prestigious Yale. The first college bowling tournament was held in New Haven, Connecticut on April 8, 1916. Back then, there were only 11 teams in the whole country. About 65 years later, in 1980, there were 153 colleges that had intercollegiate programs with more than 19,000 students. More intercollegiate programs emerged during the early 90s with 209 college programs. In 1994, the National Collegiate Athletic Association, known as the NCAA, recognized women's bowling as a growing sport. And finally, in 2004, the NCAA recognized women's bowling as a collegiate championship sport. The first Women's Bowling National Championship took place on April 8th to the 10th in 2004 in Houston, Texas, with the University of Nebraska taking home the first title. College bowling has really progressed over the years, and with the help of coaches and staff, college bowlers have become better, resulting in scores being higher, and there is a much more competitive field. In Fairfield, Connecticut, Sacred Heart University's coaching staff, Becky Craigling, head coach, and Richard Jacobson, assistant bowling coach, have been coaching the team together for 8 years. Craigling has coached the team for 24 years.
I got into college bowling when somebody from Sacred Heart that just started the men's team called me up and asked me if I wanted to coach the women's program, which started back in 24 years ago. And I had not coached at all. I was just a decent bowler in the area.
With lanes changing surfaces from wood to synthetic, scores have increased and made the playing field even better.
10, 20 years ago, most lane conditions were you were bowling on wood, and the bowling balls were rather ordinary. So 20 years ago, everybody kind of stood in the same place and threw at the same target. Now we're bowling on a lot of synthetic lane surfaces, and bowling ball manufacturers have made these really advanced bowling balls. So everybody is able to create more ball motion than they ever could.
The patterns, on the other hand, have made scoring become harder.
Lane conditions have changed quite a bit over the course of the last 20 years. Back in the day, you used to have most of the oil was in the middle and the outsides were kind of dry. Because bowling balls, as I said, were a lot weaker, scores were lower. Now you're bowling on these synthetic lanes, and the NCAA has adopted patterns that are for each season. So most of them have lane conditioner that's from edge to edge. Because of this, the scoring pace has kind of gone down, and each player or team now has to have a plan.
Due to college bowling becoming a more popular sport over the years, there are plenty of amounts of scholarships for high school students to receive when they are looking for a college with a bowling program.
High school bowling these days has really exploded, and because of that, college bowling has also exploded. There's lots of opportunities for girls with good hand-eye coordination and basic skills to possibly find scholarships for bowling teams. The NCAA presently has about 70 bowling programs, and in the USBC there are about 150. So each of those teams have about 8 players apiece, maybe 10 total that travel, so there's lots of opportunities for people to bowl.
Without dedicated coaches and players, bowling would not be where it is today.
When I started, I never expected it to be where it is today. There's many people that are full-time coaches. A lot of the past college players are into college coaching now, and the field has become extremely competitive. The talent level of the girls has raised itself drastically. To get to the national championships is so much more difficult, and many more people bowl in high school than they used to.
Most would not expect a collegiate bowler's lifestyle to be hard or difficult, but for them, it can be a challenging yet rewarding time.
There's a lot of responsibility for someone on an NCAA program. Being Division I, we're a lot about grades, so there's mandatory study hall. We also have community service. We have mandatory workouts along with practice sessions for each player, and that can be anywhere from 3 to 4 times per week.
On top of workouts, study hall, practice, and community service, students have bowling tournaments on the weekends. Their season starts in October and ends in April. It can be a long weekend ranging from 1-day tournament or a 3-day tournament.
Bowling tournament weekend is rather long. Sometimes there's 3-day tournaments, sometimes there are 2-day tournaments. So we usually depart on Thursday or Friday night, and we bowl with a 30-minute practice session and then usually 6 hours of bowling. And then after that, it's usually eat dinner and get back to the hotel because we start up and do it again the next day.
There are new programs adding every year to the sport, so the expectations of the next few years are nothing but high.
Over the last 13 years of the NCAA Championships, bowling has changed a lot. And I expect over the next 10 years more schools will add. And since there's AQ starting up, more conferences will add. And there'll be more opportunities for college bowlers and girls coming out of high school.